Coming up on Carolina Week, thousands of North Carolinians are hitting the polls early.
Tattoos are painful, but can they also hurt your chances of getting a job?
And it's almost time for Franklin Street to shut down for a frightful Halloween. All that and more, Carolina Week starts
right now.
From the UNC School of Journalism and Mass Communication, covering Carolina in HD, this is Carolina Week.
Campaign season is drawing to a close and Election Day is now 13 days away. Hello, I'm Jacqueline Lee.
And I'm Sharon Nunn. Many UNC students are hitting the polls during early voting. But first to our top story.
The NCAA has rejected UNC's arguments about the academic scandal on campus. Reporter Peyton Walker joins us live in the studio with more on what all of this means. Peyton.
Are sanctions on the way for the UNC athletics program? Based on the NCAA response to the university's letter questioning the governing body's authority and jurisdiction released Tuesday, the answer is almost certainly yes. The letter noted that the university was guilty of willful violations, that it displayed a blatant disregard for NCAA rules during the process, and that Carolina wholly mischaracterized the nature of the allegations in its response to the amended notice of allegations. At the heart of the matter is the existence of bogus classes for a period of 18 years. The NCAA says the university gave preferential access to athletes at time with the intent to help them remain academically eligible to participate in sports. Now, counter to UNC's argument that this was a problem best addressed by the accrediting agency SACS, which put the university on academic probation for a year, the NCAA wrote that each allegation was tied directly to athletics. Athletes accounted to 47.4% of the students who took the bogus classes, and the NCAA enforcement staff wrote that level of use did not happen by accident. The enforcement staff cited multiple Level 1 violations and a number of aggravating factors. Among those, unethical conduct, extra benefits, failure to monitor, and the most damaging charge of all, lack of institutional control. Athletics Director Bubba Cunningham will be in Indianapolis on Friday to meet with the NCAA. This particular meeting is primarily procedural, amounting to something like a pre-trial hearing. Back to you, Jacqueline.
That's Peyton Walker live in our studio. This case could drag on well into 2017, which would make it 7 years since the NCAA first showed up on campus to investigate the problems. Many on campus say they'd like to finally reach a resolution one way or the other.
Election Day is November 8th, but many are going ahead and getting it out of the way and voting now. Reporter Donnie Holloway joins us live from an early voting site in Chapel Hill. What are you saying, Donnie?
That's right, Sharon. Here at Chapel of the Cross, the nearest voting location to campus, more than 2,700 people have already cast their votes.
You've probably heard it before.
Voting early is easy, and you can do it on your own schedule.
And many students are doing just that.
I'm a college student, so throughout the day I have classes and I know I can go afterwards, but I just wanted to beat the crowd and get it done and over with and make sure that my vote is in and that it counts.
Making their votes count. The number of people going to the polls is steadily rising, surpassing previous years.
So we've seen a lot of turnout with regards to early voting in this particular election statewide. That's always certainly been true on college campuses across the country. College campuses are very active places, so students do like to exercise their right to vote early on in the process.
And there's many reasons why people choose to vote early.
Maybe they have a big paper that's due on Wednesday, and so they're not sure they'll be able to vote on Tuesday. So early voting is very popular on college campuses.
Hi, could I interest you in a Democratic sample ballot?
Voters exercising their right. Some students saying they're with Hillary.
It's been a rough race toward the election, and I voted for Hillary. I'm proud to say that I'm with her.
While others, some first-time voters, saying Donald Trump will bring change that's needed.
I feel like one's very corrupt and should be in jail if there were any other American citizen, and the other one, I feel like he has a great plan. And he's going to follow through with what he says.
So far, more than 5.1 million votes cast, nearly 3.4 million votes from battleground states, with the highest vote total in Florida. And there's differences in the amount of early votes cast between the two parties.
What we typically see for early voting is that Democrats tend to cast more early votes in person, whereas Republicans cast early votes in the form of absentee ballots. So typically we expect more absentee ballots to come in from Republicans and more early votes in person to come in from Democrats.
And the votes keep coming in. So far, early voting has been smooth sailing here at Chapel of the Cross on Franklin Street.
So far, more than 19,000 votes have been cast here in Chapel Hill. And as you come to the polls, the best thing that you can do is to come during the week to avoid the long lines. Sharon?
That's Donnie Holloway reporting live in Chapel Hill. Thanks, Donnie. Now, we are less than a week into early voting, and we're getting some numbers into our newsroom and who's already been to the polls. As of Monday, more than 650,000 people have voted via mailed-in absentee ballots. And in-person early voting, 48% of those votes came from registered Democrats, 28% from Republicans, 24% from unaffiliated voters, and less than 1% from those who are registered Libertarians. Early voting is even on the minds of some who are too young to vote. A group of middle schoolers from Carolina Friends School in Durham came to campus to remind people to vote early. They held bright, painted signs, handed out flyers for both Orange and Durham County voting information, and talked with people about early voting options. The students didn't endorse either presidential candidate, but did support their repeal of HB 2. The folk band Mipso played a special show in Chapel Hill Tuesday to encourage early voting and to drum up support for a new governor. The band, who are UNC grads, played at the Wallace parking deck. Gubernatorial candidate Roy Cooper also addressed the crowd of 200 with his wife and 3 daughters. He stressed the importance of early voting and a need for change across the state.
We're a North Carolina that works for everyone, not just the select few. And one thing, when we win this race, and we're going to win this race, what we've got to do is to repeal House Bill 2. And I want you to help me do that.
As of now, Cooper is leading Pat McCrory in 4 out of the 6 major polls. One of the most controversial issues of this election, immigration. Some UNC students have built what they're calling a Trump-inspired wall in front of Davis Library. But this one is calling for the acceptance of immigrants rather than rejection. The Latino-based student group Chispa created the wall in hopes of debunking myths about immigration. The wall includes current statistics on immigration in the U.S., contributions made by Latinos, the stances of current political candidates, as well as personal stories of immigrant students. Organizer Gabby Allman says she hopes the wall will change preconceived notions of immigrants on campus.
Perceptions that immigrants are lazy, but that they take our jobs, and that doesn't really make sense, you know? And so I really wanted to focus on facts and making sure that people really understand what immigrants do for this country, since we really are a nation of immigrants. So.
The students say they plan to tear down the wall on Friday as a symbolic act of breaking barriers. Chapel Hill police are investigating 2 pairs of robbers who hit businesses in Rams Plaza on East Fordham Boulevard last week. Police say 2 men assaulted a Better Sleep store worker and made off with almost $1,000. One man had a handgun and the other had brass knuckles. 3 days later, 2 different armed men held up a Pizza Hut restaurant in the same plaza. They left with more than $500 in cash. Police are asking anyone with information to call Crime Stoppers. About 40,000 people flooded Franklin Street last Halloween. Up next, we'll show you how downtown businesses are gearing up for this year's celebrations. %, of all Americans have tattoos, and nearly 40% of millennials have at least one. But as Daniela Ocampo shows us, even though ink is becoming more common, tattoo discrimination in the workplace is still a fear for many college students.
Cody Abel is a tattoo artist at Glenn's Tattoo Shop in Carborough. He says that with tattoos come negative stereotypes.
You can say the ugly truth is tattooing is kind of rooted in this rough and tumble world that honestly is what makes it so attractive.
Like most young people, senior Emily Wold only has tattoos in places she can cover up, like this new one she got from Abel on her back.
Our generation, I think, is huge now, and I love them. I think they're beautiful works of art, but unfortunately they are permanent, and the older generation views tattoos in a negative light, and that's just the reality of it.
And recent research is proving Wold right. 37% of HR managers say tattoos are the attribute that limits career potential the most. Assistant Director at UNC's Career Services, Sheena Jacobs, says that while it's okay to be unique, students should be mindful of company dress code rules before applying.
I encourage all students to do their research on the company, understand their mission, vision, direction, see what the culture is like.
Senior business major Marley Catlett says her boss at her business management internship told her to hide her tattoo and not get any more, or to find a new career path.
I don't think having a 2-inch tattoo on my ankle should disqualify me from working in a business setting for a job that I'm otherwise completely qualified for.
While Abel says companies have increased leniency since he started tattooing 10 years ago, he doesn't think tattoo discrimination in the workplace will stop anytime soon.
You know, you have a resume, you have references. Give somebody a shot. If they suck at their job, you fire them. Simple as that.
And while there are many anti-discrimination laws on the books, none exist for tattoos. In Chapel Hill, I'm Daniela Ocampo.
A recent study of plastic surgeons shows tattoo removal has risen more than 50% in the past 2 years.
Chapel Hill's most iconic cup is getting a makeover, at least for the month of October. He's Not Here turned their staple blue cup pink for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is the first time in 40 years that they have changed the color of their cups. A percentage of the proceeds will be donated to the UNC Lineberger Comprehensive Cancer Center and 1 in 9, a charity that helps breast cancer patients with treatment costs.
Most college students have a drawer full of college t-shirts, I know I do, and UNC wants to make sure no Carolina shirt is forgotten. Students had the opportunity to get their favorite t-shirts photographed for the UNC TShirt Archive Wednesday. University Archives is doing it in an effort to preserve UNC experiences. Organizers say the shirts offer a glimpse into student culture and self-expression.
The Halloween season is usually a time for fun frights, but some of this season's scares are no laughing matter. I know you've heard about this. Across the country, reports of attacks from mysterious clowns leave many looking for answers. It all started in rural South Carolina. First, there were reports of strange clowns trying to lure children into the woods. Then, a flurry of mysterious clown sightings spread across the country, leading to a number of arrests. In response, Target has stopped selling clown masks. A search on their website returns no results. The company cited sensitivity to the ongoing crisis.
Halloween is less than a week away, and that means students are making plans to hit Franklin Street. Reporter Sydney Holman is live on Franklin with more about the preparation that goes into the big night. Sydney.
This might look like just another nice afternoon here on Franklin Street, but as we speak, local businesses are getting ready for a very busy Halloween night. UNC senior Kaylee Waters is gearing up for Halloween, a night that she says has been 21 years in the making.
Well, I'm most looking forward to being 21 and actually getting into the bars.
Waters and other students will put their costumes on and flood Franklin Street Monday night to celebrate UNC's biggest night of partying. But businesses on Franklin Street have to do weeks of preparation to be ready for the crowds.
Last year, Halloween was our busiest day so far. Yep, in the 2.5 years we've been here.
Because of the big Halloween crowd, manager of Sup Dogs on Franklin Street, Lindsay Ewing, says that they will operate a little bit differently.
And we, implant different things that we don't normally do on a regular weekend for Halloween night.
Ewing says her restaurant will have people manning the doorways and that everyone will be ID'd. We'll also be using clickers to keep capacity in check. This year, the town of Chapel Hill will be implementing a few changes. Franklin Street will be closed from 8 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. In the past, the party ended at 11 p.m. Also, road closures on Franklin Street will take place east of Columbia Street and on Franklin Street at Raleigh Street. This revised traffic plan aims at keeping access to UNC hospitals open.
Everyone puts in full 100% effort into their costumes and into the night. You know, the teachers know Halloween's a big day, the students do. It's just a whole university effort.
And university officials say they want to keep the celebration local for the UNC community and area residents only and keep it safe. The university is also offering many on-campus activities on Halloween for those who would rather not celebrate here on Franklin Street. Jacqueline?
Sydney Holman live from Franklin Street. Thanks, Sydney. You might be prepared for the Halloween crowds on Franklin Street, but are you prepared for the weather?
Meteorologist Kat Campbell tells us what to expect coming up next.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm meteorologist Kat Campbell, and outside the studio right now, the weather is gorgeous. Temperatures right now are at 66 degrees and not a cloud in the sky. Dew point is 42, which means we have a low humidity and just a light southeasterly breeze. So these are very normal temperatures and dew points and humidity for this time of year. Now that is going to change though, unfortunately. You can see from our satellite there is not a cloud in the sky across North Carolina, but unfortunately, just off to the west here, we do have this cloudy air mass, and that is going to be headed our way. But first, let's enjoy this nice weather we have going on. Mostly clear skies for tonight. They're going to continue this evening into tonight, which is going to allow our temperatures to fall drastically this weekend. 47 degrees for our low, and then tomorrow night, we're going to have this air mass move in. This is a low pressure system, so as it moves into the area, you can expect to see cooler temperatures move in, but that's going to change tomorrow afternoon. So the cooler temperatures are going to actually warm us up tomorrow by the evening. Cooler morning, warmer evening, but unfortunately this does mean we're going to have clouds in the area. So for our hourly forecast, 8 a.m. 48 degrees, less clouds at this point again, and then noon 66, and the clouds are really going to start moving in around this time, and by 5 o'clock 72 degrees here. So for your fashion forecast tomorrow, it is going to be a bit tricky, unfortunately. It's that time of year where there's no correct answer to what you should wear, but I recommend wearing shorts and a t-shirt or jeans if you get cold easily, but you'll certainly want to have an extra layer with you in the morning. I really want to stress, you're going to want to have a sweater in the morning. It really wouldn't hurt to have an umbrella in your backpack as well, but the chances of seeing showers are pretty slim tomorrow. So for this weekend, like I said before, it's going to be more of a treat than a trick. We're going to have gorgeous weather in place, 78 degrees, mostly clear skies on Saturday with just a bit more of a breeze going on, but overall just an absolutely gorgeous Halloween weekend if you're okay with the warmer weather here. Now, I was in Asheville this past weekend, and let me say it is gorgeous out there right now. If you have any free time this weekend, I highly recommend going out to the mountains and checking out some of the fall color. The leaves in the Piedmont are just showing a light color right now, and then the North Carolina mountains are starting to finally near their peak here. But the Blue Ridge Mountains are at their peak, and I've seen some gorgeous photography from there, so I certainly recommend trying to check it out this weekend. But overall, our 5-day forecast is really more consistent for what you would expect to see in the spring here. 74 tomorrow for our high. Friday, again 74, but guess what? The sun comes back out just in time for the weekend. Saturday, warming up to 78, and the models have been trending warmer, so I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 80 by then.
So how does this year's weather forecast compare to last Halloween?
This year will be much warmer. Last year, our high was 66. I just changed the graphic, so it'll be about 10 degrees warmer.
Yeah, it was pretty chilly. Thanks so much, Kat.
Thank you. Tar Heels are usually competitive.
But what about when they are competing against each other? That's next on Carolina Week.
Welcome back to Carolina Week. I'm Peyton Walker with sports. Unfortunate news from UNC basketball. Junior guard Theo Pinson is out indefinitely with a fracture in his right foot. Pinson, who sat out a portion of last season with an injury in his left foot, was projected to be in the starting lineup to begin the season. For more on Carolina basketball, we go now to Lindsay Sparrow, who is in Charlotte for ACC Media Day.
Thanks, Peyton. Yeah, I'm here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where ACC Men's Basketball Media Day is being held. And I'm here with Joel Berry and Isaiah Hicks. And a hot conversation for them today has been Theo Pinson's injury.
With him being out, I think that, myself, Justin, and even the seniors, I think more guys have to step up and be a little bit more vocal than usual.
Everybody's stepping up a little bit more. I just say that's something that we can do, but, we just, want Theo to recover well, so he can get back out there with no problem.
And with Pinson's absence this season, there's going to be a spot on the step up and take charge. Back to you guys.
After another ACC Coastal win this past weekend against UVA, the football team will use a bye this week, not only to prepare for Georgia Tech in their triple option, but also to fill some new holes. According to ESPN, Pinson will undergo surgery on Friday. And speaking of injured Tar Heels, in addition to losing Mac Hollins for the season, the football team announced this week that senior lineman Caleb Peterson and freshman linebacker Jonathan Smith both had season-ending surgery. The O-line is already depleted, with veteran tackle John Ferranto gone for the entire season. Fedora and his coaching staff should be able to use the off week to see who will step up to fill those vacancies. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and one varsity team on campus is pulling their weight in the fight against cancer. The team members placed their rowing machines, or ergs, next to the student union and taught people how to use them. Even Ramsey's got involved. In the team's 5th annual ergathon, they raised over $6,000 selling t-shirts and tank tops. The proceeds will help fund cancer research at UNC's Lineberger Center. Members of Carolina's 27 other varsity teams came to support the rowing team's efforts. It's always nice to see Tar Heels helping other Tar Heels, but what about when they compete against one another? That's exactly what happened Monday at the ITI Regional Singles Tournament. Top seed Sarah Davatella battled against her 3rd seed teammate Jessie Aney for the title. The freshman superstar came back after losing the first set to Aney 6-2. Davatella took the final 2 sets over Aney, earning herself the tournament title. This comes after Davatella lost out in the Malibu Invitational just 2 weeks ago. She said this win has helped rebuild her confidence.
I was a little down on myself coming down back from that tournament, and just a little tired from all the tennis tournaments that I've been playing. So for me to come out here, it really shows that I can push through.
Well, that's so wonderful that she was able to bounce back from that.
Yeah, I think it's always great to get that W you've been trying to get. So
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Peyton.
Thanks.
At UNC's new anxiety lab, spiders aren't reserved for only Halloween.
We'll show you how some students are overcoming their fears. That's up next. Afraid of spiders? I know I am.
Absolutely. Well, for those who are, a new program at UNC is using the 8-legged creatures to help with anxiety. Reporter Danielle Wallace tells us all about it.
A fear is one thing, a phobia is another. Journalism student Delaney McGuire is not too fond of the itsy-bitsy spiders, especially when they aren't so itsy-bitsy.
I think it's a pretty natural reaction to avoid spiders whenever you can. I'm not going to go into a room that has a spider in it.
But McGuire did what she said she wouldn't, by going into Howell Hall's new anxiety lab, where the psychology department is conducting a study about spider phobia.
I feel like I should just look at it for a little bit first.
McGuire is going to cover a news story in Chile where tarantulas are common. Though she went to the lab to help confront her fears, McGuire didn't qualify for the study. Psychology graduate student Shannon Blakey says her study focuses on people with debilitating phobias, not just fears like McGuire's.
So when you're going to your daughter's picnic party out in the park, are you actually being taken out of that moment, out of the present, because you're scanning the ground looking for spiders?
The study includes 4 sessions of exposure therapy.
So patients in the study deal with their phobia by holding the spider like so. And sometimes I noticed you said elevated heart rate, sweating.
And they'll feel like they maybe want to back away, or they'll like pull their arms in, to protect themselves.
After a few minutes in the same room with the tarantula, McGuire saw that these crawlers aren't so creepy after all.
Like, its little feet are tickling me.
She should be fine in Chile. In Chapel Hill, I'm Danielle reporting.
I gotta be honest with you, I don't think that would reduce my anxiety. I think that would actually make it worse. But apparently the 2 tarantulas in the study aren't venomous.
Blakey says it's highly unlikely for the participants to be bitten, but in the off chance that it does, it would only hurt as much as a bee sting.
I think bee stings still really hurt, so I don't know. But that does it for this edition of Carolina Week.
Thanks for watching and good night.